Hello and welcome to the Extra Point podcast. I am joined by Rocky and Neil. This is our inaugural podcast, and what a better way to start than the NFL 2021 draft, which happened last night. Some exciting trades, good picks happened. Uh, but let's start by asking Rocky and Neil, what are you guys' thoughts on the draft so far, and what do you think?
Well, I think it was an exciting draft. I think the first few picks, Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson, were kind of obvious. But after that, I mean, picks 3 through 10, where I don't think anyone could have guessed that. And there were some good trade ups by, the Bears. I think the Eagles traded up, and yeah. So, what do you think about the draft, New?
Yeah, I agree. I think Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson definitely two surefire picks. They were both meant to be drafted by their teams. Hopefully, faces franchise guys who can really elevate their teams. Yeah, there were also some head scratchers like J.C. Horn going to the Panthers. That was a clearly they think he could be a cornerback of the future for them, and we can't see until we see him on the field. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I think Patrick Surtain was better than J.C. Horn. So I don't know why they took him
and
at
also Trey Lance going to the 49ers. He has a lot of potential. So if he sits under Jimmy G, he could be a superstar for them, or he could turn out to not be a superstar. And that's just a gamble you have to take.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest questions coming into the draft was who were the 49ers going to take, Mac Jones or Trey Lance or Justin Fields, and they thought Trey Lance was the best fit. So yeah.
So let's take a look at the top five picks now. We have Trevor Lawrence going to the Jaguars, Zach Wilson going to the Jets, Trey Lance going to the 49ers, Kyle Pitts, one of my personal favorites in this draft, going to the Falcons, and Jamaar Chase to the Bengals. Out of these top five, who do you guys think won the draft from there? I mean, Trevor Lawrence, obviously a great player, but let's really focus on Trey Lance, Kyle Pitts, and Jamaar Chase. Do you guys think these are good picks, or do you think maybe some questionable choices here?
Well, Neil, you can go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Uh, I really like the Kyle Pitts pick because I think just to surround Matt Ryan with another generational talent. I mean, like if you could look in this draft and see who is has the most Hall of Fame potential in this draft, it for me it isn't even Trevor Lawrence, it's Kyle Pitts. He just has that type of talent, and to put him next to Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley, and with the Falcons' other picks, even to draft some defense, they can really have an extremely potent offense, and just surrounding Matt Ryan with even more weapons.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I think Trey Lance was the best pick out of the top five just because the 49ers were a QB away from the Super Bowl. They made the Super Bowl with Jimmy G, but he was not able to make the big time throws. I think he missed Emmanuel Sanders in the fourth quarter, which could have been the game winner. And I think Trey Lance can make those throws. And so they have a good defense. They have good receivers. Brandon Ayuk, Debo Samuel, George Kittle, obviously. Their running game is, as we know, lethal. And then Trey Lance is like the icing to the cake. But Kyle Pitts, I think he is definitely generational talent. But I think the Falcons, they needed defense more. I think that was their biggest problem last year. Their offense was fine. They just could not hold anyone on defense.
So because of this, I think, yeah, I agree with you. I think the Falcons are maybe going to take a more defensive approach in the following rounds. But biggest question for me, Joe Burrow last season got sacked 32 times in 10 games. He was on pace for 56 sacks in a season. And the Bengals take Jamaar Chase with their first pick. It's a little questionable for me that they thought that this was the best choice. Jamaar Chase is a great player. He has the link to Joe Burrow. This is true. But Burrow was getting attacked back there, and he got injured, and he was out for most of the season. That's the issue. And the Bengals seem to maybe overlook that a bit. What do you guys think?
So yeah, I actually agree with you. Though I think especially when you already they have decent receivers. I mean, it's not like they had a really good receiver from the draft last year, and yeah, they have good receivers. So I feel the need to take Jamaar Chase was a little bit lower. Yeah, the LSU connection that was great, but I think they didn't even sign any notable offensive linemen in free agency. They didn't try to go after Lindsley or Tooney, and they had the money. So yeah, I think I would have definitely drafted Penei Sewell if I were the Bengals. I mean, yesterday Joe Burrow got a photo taken. Yeah, when they were trying on his new jerseys, and you could see the big scar on his left knee from his ACL tear. And I just think if anything like that happened again, his career could almost be over. His career would be over. And I think that's just too big of a risk to take when you're betting on a franchise QB that you take a wide receiver over like a generational alignment.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's your first pick, first round QB last year, and you don't protect him at all. They didn't sign anyone, and I think Penei Sewell is like a very good tackle. He could be a very good tackle in the league, and so I think that was a good pick by the Lions, especially to take him at 7. But I think Jamaar Chase, he's a great receiver and all, but O-line would definitely be better to help Burrow succeed in the NFL. Because if he has less than 2 seconds to throw, he can't show his full potential.
So moving down the list a bit, these are some great points, but let's keep it moving down the list. So some interesting picks with J.C. Horn. Broncos, I think, got a good pick with Patrick Surtain. But the biggest question of this draft right now, and for me at least, Justin Fields dropping to 11. Now, in my eyes, Justin Fields is a top 3, if not top 2 QBs in this draft. And I'm a little surprised, to be honest, that there was no pick from the 49ers potentially. And I mean, the Falcons, Bengals, Dolphins, they didn't need a QB. The Lions, maybe. But it's a bit surprising drop to 11. But great job from the Bears there to find that, to trade up and get that. I mean, that's a really good play on them. And similarly with the Eagles and Devonta Smith, they went up and got their guy.
Yeah, I think 2 teams that could have got him were the Falcons and also the Panthers, maybe. But since they traded for Sam Darnold, I don't think as much. I think they think that's their guy going forward. He's young, so it's not that bad of a player. He could develop into a good QB, and I think also the Broncos. But they've just traded for, I think, Teddy Bridgewater. So if they think he's their QB going forward, I guess it makes sense. So the Bears trading up, I think they traded a first-round pick for next year, 5th round from this year. So they're basically trading their future for Justin Fields. And I think, do you guys think that was a good trade for the Bears and the Giants?
Yeah, I do. I definitely think it was a great trade for the Bears. Yeah, they gave up a lot, but I mean, think about it. If they didn't go up there and select Fields, they would have been stuck with just a extremely horrible quarterback situation. So to go up and nab who some experts thought was the second best QB in the draft, that was amazing. And I think the Broncos made a huge mistake passing up on Fields. I think when you have a quarterback room of Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock, like that's not it. Like, you're never reaching the playoffs with either of those 2 guys. And even if Patrick Surtain turns out to be a stud, and he's a great player, so he probably will be. Like even if you recreate the whole no-fly zone thing, when they had the no-fly zone, they had Peyton Manning. Like Drew Lock isn't Peyton Manning, so they're not going anywhere with him or Teddy Bridgewater. I think when you have a chance to select Justin Fields at pick 11, whatever pick it was, like no trading, like they had to make that move.
Yeah, I think to your point with the no-fly zone, they had a really good defense, but the year before Peyton Manning, and they had probably the best offense in the league the year before, and so that was just the defense was just adding on. So I think they picked up a few corners. I think they got Chris Harris and AJ Boye in free agency. The Broncos did. So I don't know if cornerback was their biggest need. I think a lot of people thought they would take Micah Parsons, who went for the Cowboys, which was a good pick as well. But I think Kyle Fuller as well. He's very good too. So they already have corners. I don't know how Patrick Surtain will fit in that system.
So one thing I want to address really quick in the Justin Fields race, which he ultimately went to Chicago, the Patriots, a little surprising, they didn't try to make any trades up the draft board to get Fields. They get Mac Jones, who's a talent, but where does he compare to Fields? And do you guys think that they should have gone up and tried to get Fields?
Yeah, I think Bill knew before the draft. I think he stuck with his guy. I think when you look at the Patriots system, what they've done with Brady all these years, you compare Brady and Mac Jones's qualities. Like when Brady was coming out of college, people were calling him just a team manager. Like he wasn't someone who had talent to bring bad players on a team, elevate them. He was a guy who could lead a team, but not like elevate their skill. Same thing with Mac Jones. I think he's probably the most accurate quarterback with this draft. He can go through his progressions really well. What he showed in Alabama, he ran the system extremely well, which for Belichick is important because he just needs a guy who can run the system. And then obviously Belichick being the legend that he is can obviously elevate the quarterback. So I think for what the Patriots were looking for, an accurate quarterback, a scheme fit, I think if it was Bill's guy, then it was Bill's guy, and they got him.
Yeah, I think Mac Jones falling to 15 might have been also fell right into Bill Belichick's lap because the 49ers were thinking of taking him at 3. And we wonder if they took Mac Jones, how would that have played out? I don't think Trey Lance would have fell all the way to 15. So I think if the 49ers took Mac Jones, the Patriots probably would have had to trade up, and maybe they would have gotten Fields, Lance. We don't know here, but I think Mac Jones was a good pick at 15. As Neil said, he's accurate. He can go through his progressions. He's a team builder. He's exactly like Brady. So we have to see how that plays out. I think if you surround him with weapons, then he'll be a very good QB.
So we're looking down towards the later ends of the draft. We got Steelers picking Najee Harris, unsurprisingly. More surprisingly, Jaguars taking Travis Etienne with James Robinson in their backfield. Maybe they should have focused on defense, but now we'll never know. But we'll like to see what he does in the NFL. Now, looking at the whole draft, we have everyone in this first round. We're big fans of fantasy. So, what do we think from a fantasy output perspective? Who's ready to go? Who's ready to command the teams? Trey Lance might not start, maybe not the biggest fantasy target. I'm sure Trevor Lawrence will be a huge target. Kyle Pitts. Who are some of the players you guys are thinking right away? Like, I want this guy on my team.
I mean, a lot of fans probably they're thinking about the running ability of Justin Fields, but I think he's probably going to sit this year, similar to what we saw in Patrick Mahomes. They have Andy Dalton, who's, not good, but the Cowboys almost made the playoffs last year with him after Dak went down with injury. But I think Justin Fields, I don't think he's going to start this year. Even if he does start, I don't think he'll start very much games because he's in no hurry to start. The Bears have a young talent, Darnell Mooney, Roquan Smith, Khalil Mack, so they don't need to start him right away. But I think the best fantasy player is either going to be Jamaar Chase. If Burrow can get the ball to him, then there's no question that he's going to be good. Najee Harris, obviously we saw the Steelers like to run the ball, and if he's an all-down back, then he's going to get 25 carries a game, which can lead to a lot of fantasy points. And I also think an underrated pick is Kadarius Toney by the Giants. He dropped, I think, he caught 98% of his catches at Florida. And if you watch the tape, he's dynamic after the catch. He's like a Tyreek Hill reincarnated. So I think he's going to be good in fantasy and also just for the Giants in general.
Yeah, I think I have 2 guys. Number one, I think when you look at fantasy input, you have to go Najee Harris. Look at the Steelers. Like he's their undisputed all-down running back. They don't have, Connor went to the Cardinals. They don't have him anymore. So they have no one in their backfield except Najee Harris. Steelers love to run the ball. They have a great O-line too, DeCastro, others. He's going to be an all-round back. And he has receiving ability too, I think, especially if you're in PPR. He's like a Derrick Henry who can catch the ball. He showed that in Alabama. He has great hands, great speed, great run after the catch ability. So he's going to get you a lot of points there as well. I think he has to be that number 1 guy. And I think number 2, Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle has a game-breaking speed, like electric game-breaking speed. He can be the next Tyreek Hill. Bubble screens, a quick slant. He can just break it to you and take it all the way to the end zone. That type of speed, if Tua can get the ball to him quickly, and if Miami and their offensive coordinator really tries to design their offense around him and get him involved super quick, I think he can be super explosive. And he'll probably be a late-round steal too. He won't go in top rounds. And if you can snag him, yeah, he can be really good. He'll probably be great, actually.
So going off of what Neil you said about the Najee Harris being the single back at Pittsburgh, Benny Snell was there, but like you said, like Benny Snell again, not much of a threat when it comes to running. So Najee Harris was the perfect pick for Pittsburgh there.
Yeah.
For my best fantasy players, I think Jalen Waddle will definitely agree in a Miami Dolphins offense, which could potentially be quite good. You have Will Fuller coming in, which is a good wide receiver who's shown it with Deshaun Watson. If Tua can be really good and have a good bounce back season, I think Jalen Waddle's up there with some of the best receivers. And he showed in Alabama his whole time there. He was a threat, like a deep threat. He pretty much did it all. Again, like a Tyreek Hill type of player. Uh, Another player I think is going to be really good actually is Kyle Pitts. And I know I've said this already that he's really good, but Kyle Pitts is listed as a tight end, but we know he does so much more than that. He lined up at slot, wide receiver. He went one-on-one on corners. His route running is impeccable. And if you have a player like that who's going into a potentially lethal Falcons offense, Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, their running back situation a little skeptical with Todd Gurley, who just had a lackluster season and he's been fighting injuries. Ito Smith is the second back there. So a bit questionable, but the passing offense with Matt Ryan's always been good. You throw Kyle Pitts in that system, he's going to succeed right away. And you have another tight end like Hayden Hurst there to maybe help him a little bit, although Hayden Hurst pretty new to the league as well. I think one of the most interesting things here, the Heisman winner this year, Devonta Smith, goes to pick 10. Now, it's not super shocking, but at the same time, you have Jamaar Chase, Jalen Waddle going over him. You think maybe Devonta Smith is maybe underrated, overrated? Do you think some people don't want him because of his size? What are the thoughts here on Devonta Smith?
Yeah, I think he was underrated in the draft, and that probably has something to do with his size, so that can bring up injury concerns. But I mean, I absolutely love this for the Eagles. I mean, I know when everyone thought, okay, they traded up, okay, it's probably going to be Justin Fields, but first of all, this shows us two things. It shows that there's a commitment to Jalen Hurts. There's a commitment that we want Jalen Hurts and we want him to succeed. So we're going to bring him weapons. We're already getting our O line back from injury, so that's a plus. Hopefully, Jalen Reagor can have a bounce back season. Now we're adding Devonta Smith into the mix, who's probably the most silky smooth route runner in this draft. I mean, he just creates separation like beyond thinking. And just to give Jalen Hurts some of those easy completions, like where he doesn't have to fit it into a tight window because there's not going to be anyone around Devonta Smith. I just think it's a great pick, and Howie Roseman really made a good move here, and I think it's a great pick for the Eagles.
I think adding on to Neil, now it's all on Jalen Hurts. So if Jalen Hurts plays bad, he's surrounded by weapons. His own line's coming back. Miles Sanders is a very good running back. I think he's underrated. So this is basically Jalen Hurts' year to prove it to the league that he's not a bust. That every team slept on him for dropping the second round, and that the Eagles made the right pick with trading Carson Wentz and sticking with Jalen Hurts.
So I think that just like you're saying, Jalen Hurts is in this like make or break situation. Tua has a lot of questions around his name. And like last season, getting benched 5 games, yes, not all his fault, but didn't have the season he expected to at least. I think that this season is Tua's time to really show to the league, hey, I'm the guy in Miami and I can prove it to you. If he doesn't, then there's a lot of questions around that Miami quarterback spot. Now, we've kind of debriefed the whole draft, and I think we should go around, maybe say our top 3 picks, favorite picks, and then worst 3 favorite picks. So, Neil, do you want to start us off?
Yeah. Okay. So I think just avoiding Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, because I mean those were kind of obvious. I think my first favorite pick was probably Kyle Pitts for the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, such a dynamic playmaker. He's gold jacket talent. I mean, he's Hall of Fame talent, and he's gonna get there. Like he's just an amazing player. I think second, if we drop a little bit lower, just based on positional need, I really do like Najee Harris to the Steelers. I mean, such a dynamic running back. He's so powerful. He's strong. His catching abilities, run after the catch. I mean, I know we all did see his hurdle on Notre Dame. Like he hurdled over one of the Notre Dame players after catching a little screen pass, and that was just it just showcased all of his ability. So I really do like that pick. Third pick. Let me see. Yeah, Devonta Smith. Devonta Smith to the Eagles, I think. It's all on Jalen Hurts now. I mean, Jalen Hurts showed us what he could do last year. He had some amazing games, and a couple of his picks really weren't even his fault. So I think he showed us last year that he was a good quarterback. He had a better rookie season than a lot of rookie quarterbacks. And now just surrounding him with Devonta Smith, Jalen Reagor's gonna have a better season. Like Rocky said, Miles Sanders. Then their O line is coming back. Brandon Brooks, Peters. Yeah, just some of those guys. So yeah, and then three worst picks. I think first, I think the Raiders pick. I mean, that was just bad. Like they didn't need that position. They could have gone. Yeah, they could have gone so many other areas with that pick. And yeah, that was probably the worst pick in the draft. I think the second worst pick in the draft. Um, Let me see. Maybe
I can go ahead while
yeah,
I'll give you
you can
time
go
some
ahead.
time to
I'll just
think.
think of two more.
So for my best three players, I'm gonna go some unconventional players. I mean, everyone Neil said is obviously a very good pick, but I'm gonna go sticking away from offense. We're gonna go Micah Parsons. You saw his pro day. He's extreme. He's a freak athlete. I think he's like 6'3". He ran a 4.3 on the 40, and so you have that kind of linebacker to fill in. Sean Lee just retired to fill in that gap. I think pair him with Leighton Vander Esch and Jalen Smith. That might be the best linebackers in the league. Next, I think Rashad Bateman to the Ravens. I think that was a good pick. Lamar has virtually no wide receivers other than Hollywood Brown, who's not great. He's average. He's an average receiver. He's fast, but I don't think he has the hands and the size to be a top 10 receiver in the league. But Rashad Bateman, he is big and he can go up and get those jump balls. So Lamar has two targets now, adding on to his running attack and Mark Andrews, obviously. So he should do well. And I think from a fan's perspective, he should be back to his old form we saw 2 years ago when he won the MVP. I think for my third best pick on the draft, I think Rashawn Slater at 13 to the Chargers. I think that was a great pick by the Chargers just to protect Justin Herbert. Give him that. I think they also picked up another lineman in free agency, and they have Keenan Allen, of course, and Austin Eckler. I think Herbert's going to shine, and I think he can be a dark horse MVP candidate. He was great last year, won the Rookie of the Year. I think he's a dark horse MVP candidate for this year. And Neil, you can go ahead with your worst picks now.
Yeah, we just probably the second worst pick in the draft, and this might even be first actually. I just think Zaven Collins to the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, I don't even think linebacker was a position of need. I mean, yeah, they lost Hassan Reddick, but Zaven Collins isn't even a rushing linebacker. He's a coverage linebacker. He's a middle linebacker. So, yeah, I think he's a second round talent. I mean, of course, he's a great player, but I just think at that high of a selection, the Cardinals, they could have got so many players. I mean, Jeremiah Jock fell out of the first round. Like, he should have been the first round talent. He's literally better than Zaven Collins, in my opinion. I think, yeah, Jeremiah Wosu Carmel, he's gonna have a fantastic season. I mean, I think he's my defensive rookie of the year pick just because of how much talent he has, his coverage skills. He can literally be a slot corner or a safety. So whatever team picks him up in the second is gonna be really lucky. But yeah, I don't like the pick of Zaven Collins at all.
Yeah, so my worst pick, I don't think there's three worst picks because I think every team addressed some sort of need. There wasn't really every team had a bad pick, but there's just one pick that just doesn't make sense at all. It's Eric Stokes to the Packers. And before draft night, there was Aaron Rodgers saying he wants out of Green Bay. He demands a trade and all this stuff. And then the Packers have a chance to pick up. I think there was a lot of good receivers left on the board. Terrence Marshall Jr., Rondell Moore, Elijah Moore, all those receivers, and instead you take Eric Stokes on the defensive side of the ball. And for the last 5 years, the Packers have only taken one offensive player, which is Jordan Love. And so they have not helped Aaron Rodgers at all. And I wouldn't be surprised if he left Green Bay, though I don't think Green Bay would trade him. But I wouldn't be surprised if he wants out of Green Bay even more after the pick.
So I'll go ahead with my top 3 picks now. I think obviously Kyle Pitts, again, like Neil said, just an excellent player. We've already covered that. Don't need to go in there again. I think this is a bit of a shocker here, but Jalen Waddle's in my top 3. I think he's going to be really good in a system that I think fits him well. I think, again, if Tua performs, he will be excellent, and I think he's one of my top 3 picks. And then going back to what Rocky said, Rashawn Slater. I think Rashawn Slater's an excellent pick here because Justin Herbert, as we said, excellent quarterback, did really well last year. Team had a bit of trouble closing out the games, but that was mostly defensive side of the ball. I think that Rashawn Slater's going to give Herbert more time, more space to grow, develop, and make more passes, throw more touchdowns. That's the goal. So I think, again, worst 3 picks. It's kind of hard to have a worst 3, but Alex Leatherwood, definitely a bit of a head scratcher there. Zaven Collins, arguably a bit of an odd pick, but my worst pick, Eric Stokes, again, have to agree with that. Your QB, Aaron Rodgers, tells you, I want out, night before draft night. And if you're the Packers coordinator and draft, you're about to pick the draft, you take a cornerback. Now, that's not going to make Aaron Rodgers want to stay. If they want to get rid of Aaron Rodgers, then by all means. But it's a really confusing pick based on the circumstance, especially of him wanting out. So unless there's anything else to add about this draft, do you guys have anything to add?
I think we can discuss our rookie of the year and offensive rookie of the year and defensive rookie of the year. So my offensive rookie of the year is probably going to be Jamaar Chase to the Bengals. I mean, as I said before, if Joe Burrow can get him the ball, then there's no doubt he can go for 1,000 yards, repeat of his teammate at LSU, Justin Jefferson's season. I think defensive player of the year. There's a few players, obviously J.C. Orr and Patrick Surtain, who are picked higher up. I think an underrated player, Joke, who Neil was talking about. Also, Jamin Davis to the Washington football team. He's very fast, and he can complete that defense. I don't think they have a good D-line. They have a good secondary. They just didn't have linebackers, and he can help them out. Also, Kwity Paye at D-line. He got picked 21 to the Colts. He can also be a good defensive rookie of the year. It just depends on how many sacks he gets.
Yeah, for offensive rookie of the year for me, I would definitely say Najee Harris, just because of the volume he's gonna get. I mean, he's gonna get all of Pittsburgh's carries almost, except for some workload management. He's gonna score a lot of touchdowns. He's gonna get a lot of yards. He's gonna be there in the receiving game. I mean, yeah, he's a receiving back also. I mean, we can't ignore that. So yeah, he's gonna have a lot of production. So I would definitely have him there. Defensive rookie of the year, I would have 2 guys. I think I would have Surtain, number 1, Patrick Surtain. I just think in that type of defense where he's not even going to be on the number 1 receiver on the other team because you have guys like Kyle Fuller, Chris Harris, he'll probably be on the number 2 guys depending on man or zone scheme. He'll get a lot of opportunities to play the ball. He'll get picks. Yeah, he'll be a standout player. He'll be a bright player. I think him number 1, and yeah, I think Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Right now, I have the Lions trading up to get him, but I think whatever team he falls to, he's just such a playmaker. He can be a linebacker. He can be a slot corner, a safety. He's so fast. His coverage skills are like anything we've seen in a long time from a linebacker. I think that's just what makes him so special. So I think, yeah, Surtain 1, him 2 for defensive rookie of the year.
So for me, I mean, I think rookie of the year has got to be Trevor Lawrence for me. Just flat out. He's really good. As much as I feel like deep down, I have a weird feeling that with all this hype, he might be a bust. But, the stats don't lie. He's a great player, and I think he's going to succeed. But my defensive player of the year, I'm going to go Micah Parsons because I think Micah Parsons is going to be really, really good. And I think at the linebacker position, he's going to really excel. So those are my picks about the players of the year.
I mean, yeah, I agree with both of you, and I think it was a very good first round for basically every team. They got for the first 1 through 10, I think every single team had a position that they needed. There was some great trade ups, and yeah, I think that was it was a good first round. Second round, we'll see what happens. I think some players I think the Lions will trade up, like Neil said, for defense. Bengals could trade up for offensive line. Falcons could trade up for a running back or for defense. So yeah, we'll have to see.
Well, if that's all we got for today's episode, thank you so much for watching. Comment down below if you have any specific thing you want us to run an episode on. We'll have more coverage and more podcasts out about any sport out there. And this is the Extra Point Podcast signing off. Thank you very much.
Yep. Thank you for watching.
Thank